Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you returning, welcome. To those of you who are new, also welcome. My name is Holly Poole. I'm an astrologer and a healthiologist. I do evolutionary astrology and humanistic astrology. And our connection today is to take a look at the month of October. What is it that October really has to bring forth for us? And one of the things that we've been finding is through the summer, there's been a little bit of it almost feels like a little bit of a lull that we've been in for the last few months as we've saw one planet retrograde and another planet retrograde and another planet retrograde. And so starting into October, now we're going to start to see a bit of the turnaround. Yeah, we'll still have planets that will retrograde along the way, but we get our first big planet to turn direct in October, and that's going to be the planet Pluto. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me share my screen here so that we can get a look as to where we are. So on our screen here, this is the first day of October. Now, as most of you know, the 2nd of October, we're going to see a solar eclipse. And so on the 1st of October, we've got the moon is coming up to line up with the sun in order to have that solar eclipse. I love eclipse season. And I'm sure when I talked about the eclipses back in the spring, I probably said, there are so many rabbit holes that you can go down with astrology. You can go down mundane astrology. You can go down horary astrology. You can go down, excuse me, shamanistic astrology. Like there are so many rabbit holes when studying astrology. And for me, I think if there were one particular rabbit hole that I'd go down and spend time studying, it would be all about the ecliptics and the ecliptic energy and how incredible it actually is. One of the things that's always important to know, thinking about ecliptics, is what about in your own personal chart? So you want to look for the sign that has like the black circle that has a white line through it. When we are in mom's belly, before we are born, there is a solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse at that point in time, as an evolutionary astrologer, we believe that, down comes the contracts, down comes the plans, down comes the connections, down comes our blueprint, and boom, down comes the soul. So think about all the people who are pregnant right now. There's a solar eclipse coming on the 2nd of October. So if they're actually going to have their baby between then and right on up, the next solar eclipse is in March of 2025. This is the soul coming down directly into the baby. And so you want to look to see in your own personal chart, your natal chart, what was the sign that your pre-birth solar eclipse was in? We get into, is it a difference with a lunar eclipse and solar eclipse? And yes, it certainly is. But for now, let's just look at the solar eclipses. It can become very confusing. So we get to the 2nd of October. There is our solar eclipse. The sun is at 10 degrees. The moon is at 10 degrees. All of this in the sign of Libra. We do have at that exact same degree, we've got Black Moon Lilith. So Libra is all about relationships. It's about partnerships. It's about how we are feeling about all of the other people around us. And with the asteroid goddess Black Moon Lilith there, it's going to have a few of us looking back over past relationships and looking back over where perhaps we may not have necessarily been the best person to some of our people. And kind of reminds me, I guess, of the biblical story of Samson and Delilah, and how Delilah cut his hair and he lost all of his strength. Whether you believe in biblical stories or mythological stories or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It matters what your personal belief system is. But, how many of us throughout life have, using it as a mythology, cut somebody's hair in order that they would lose the strength, whether intentional or unintentional. And we know that I'm using that as an example. There could be other things that took place that went on in life. That the individual may be feeling some kind of a sense of loss because of something we actually did to them. Again, I say intentional or unintentional. But Black Moon Lilith always reminds us sometimes about our shame. And in reality, it is only when we accept our own responsibility in any type of a relationship can we then fix it, smooth it, deal with it, recognize it, recognize it as being good or bad, and make our way through it. Now, that solar eclipse, if you look in your own personal chart and look on the very outside rim of your chart, and you look for the sign of Libra, that's the house that it's going to be in. So when you look in your own chart, Libra may not be up here on the top in your own chart because everybody's different. Your chart, Libra may be there, or Libra may be here, or Libra may be here. But that's the avenue. And each avenue, we are asking about relationships, about balance, about harmony. And how is it that we can absolutely move forward in life and be able to bring in that huge sense of balance and harmony? So for those of you who are watching this coming up to that ecliptic energy, it's always a great idea to set up some type of a crystal grid. And one crystal grid that I would certainly use as a center stone. So with crystal grids, I have a tendency to make my circle with clear quartz. Last month, as a lot of you have known, I set up classes once a month called Inspired by Spirituality. And last month we talked about gemstones and how to bring in more energy, how to bring in more vibrations. Remember that the universe speaks not in language, the universe speaks in frequency, the frequency of the vibration. And the frequency connected around this vibration is all about balance and harmony and centeredness in relationships. This is a huge door to open for relationships. So if you're looking for a relationship, if you're looking for a better relationship, maybe you're looking for a better relationship with your family members. Maybe you're looking for a better relationship with your partner. Maybe you're looking to bring in a partner. Maybe you're looking to find a relationship with work. You're looking for work. So you're looking for something that you can fit in quite well. So setting up a gemstone grid is always a great way to do that. I personally like to have clear quartz around the outside of the grid. Doesn't matter if you've got 2 or 4 or 8 or 12 of the clear quartz points on the outside. What do we want on the inside circle? Well, if you're looking for love, the relationship of love, maybe you're looking for a partner, what the gemstone on the inside you want to put is like a rose quartz. A rose quartz, which is that pinky kind of a color, that's always fantastic for sending out the vibration, looking for love. If you are looking to open the vibration for having a child, the moonstone is a fabulous gemstone to have in there. If you're looking for just to develop peace and harmony and balance and centeredness within the family unit, amethyst, the purple gemstone, is always great to have. If you're looking to find wealth, setting up on the inside, it's great to have the gemstone citrine. Citrine is all about prosperity and balance and harmony and centeredness. And if you are looking to just find some kind of a balance and a harmony and a centeredness, you just may want to put in some blue stones. Um, Blue agates are great. Blue lace agate is great. Blue chalcedony is great. Blue is always great for the ability to bring in balance. You don't want to put in like a red gemstone in the center, because that's not about balance and harmony. That's about boom. That's more of that forceful kind of an energy. That's more if we were dealing with a fire sign, Aries or Sag or Leo. We want to bring in something that's very much around that centered part of harmony and balance. And that's the opening of that ecliptic energy that is there. Moving on, we're going to actually move to the 9th for the next big planetary alignment. And that particular alignment is that Jupiter will turn retrograde on the 9th. Now, Jupiter is our planet of expansion. It's our planet connected with opening of doors. And if you look on the outside rim of your chart, you're looking to see where the sign of Gemini sits on the outside of your chart. And that's where Jupiter is going through. Now, Jupiter in May of this year, Jupiter actually stepped into the sign of Gemini. That was opening doors for conversations, opening doors for can you and I relate? Opening doors for possibilities, opening doors for probabilities. Gemini, of course, is the communication, the sign of communication ruled by Mercury. And this Jupiter, as it starts to retrograde, says, okay, maybe it's time we've talked to this one, talked to that one, talked to this one, talked to that one, talked to this one, talked to that one. Okay, we're going to pull it back a little bit. Jupiter is now started to retrograde. Jupiter is starting to retrograde at 21 degrees. It's going to go all the way back to 11 degrees. So it's going to have us rethink, relook, recheck, recreate, re-ask all of these conversations that have pretty much taken place since middle part of the summer. What did they mean? What does that mean? What did they mean when they said that? Somebody talked about possibilities. Now, can we make these happen? Let's have further discussions, because Jupiter will turn direct in February of 2025. Our planning time is then done. And so Jupiter is asking us to rethink, relook, recheck, recreate some of those conversations, and time to go back and maybe talk to the individual and say, back in late July, August, we had this conversation about this possibility, that we could do a recording together, or that we could do a reading together, or that we could get together and study, or we could do something else. I'd like to expand a bit on that. I'd like to do maybe some study with you, or maybe I would like to, do some work for you or with you, or maybe you could do some work for me. Or so you see where we're talking about the opening of the possibilities, and that solar eclipse that happened on the 2nd of October will blow open the door. This Jupiter retrograde is going to maybe even reignite some of those conversations to help those doors open, because it's all in air signs. Libra, which is where we had the eclipse, is an air sign. Mentality, conversation, communication. Gemini is an air sign. Mentality, communication, conversation. So this is why we know that this is highly likely the door that opens to get us thinking about all of this and the possibilities. I mean, it's times like this that the brain is thinking and thinking and thinking and creating and choosing and moving and shifting and changing. And this is the timing to get those ideas absolutely in motion. And you'll feel that. That's also why on the 9th of October is our next night for the next class that we're going to do, inspired by spirituality. And I'll put a link down underneath for you if you're interested in joining us. And I've decided to do decoding of our dreams, subliminal messages that come through with our dreams. And the reason I actually chose that one for that date, because I'm doing it once a month, is simply because Jupiter retrograde is going to have us go back into that subconscious. Oh, yeah, they said that. Oh, yeah, I remember when that possibility came on. Oh, yeah, I wonder when they talked about doing that recording. I should follow up on that. And what we find with the subconscious mind is that when we sleep at night, the subconscious comes up and opens. And this is where our dreams come in. One of the things I'll be teaching that night is those dreams are never about somebody else. Those dreams are really about ourselves. And I won't go down the road any further. We're talking about astrology here, but inspired by spirituality, do check it out. As I said, I'll put a link down underneath. I hope you join us. Then the next big date on October is the 9th. Sorry, is the 12th of October. Now we're going to start to see month by month by month by month those planets that had been retrograding. Now we're saying, boom, boom, time to do something about it. Boom, boom, time to do something about it. Boom, boom, time to do something about it. And so back in May of this year, Pluto had been into Aquarius. Then it's moved back into Capricorn. On the 12th of October, Pluto turns direct. Pluto is pretty much finishing off its journey through Capricorn. It won't be back for another 265 years. You and I won't have to worry about this. It won't be something that will be going on for us to worry about. Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. You've heard me talk about this in all the other videos, so I won't go along with it for too long. Pluto entering Capricorn was all about taking down big business as we once knew it. And I want you to take a moment and think back to 2008 and the way business was and the way business is are two massively different things. Pluto finishing off Capricorn, Pluto will enter into Aquarius in the later part of this year, and then it will stay in the sign of Aquarius until 2044. Now, Pluto, having gone through Capricorn, way different than Aquarius. And what history has taught us is that every time Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's all about sort of like government and so on coming back into the hands of the people. And this is why when you really step back, this is why astrology is so fascinating to me, is that when you step back and you look back over these last 2.5 years, because Pluto was in Capricorn, flipped into Aquarius, moved back to Capricorn, flipped into Aquarius, moved back to Capricorn, flipped into Aquarius, moved back to Capricorn. Now it's going to flip into Aquarius and not come back to Capricorn in our present lifetime. And so we can see when you take a moment and you just look at the world governments right now, there is not one country out there that has peace and centered and harmony, and it's overly joyed with their government and how governments are handled or working or doing or looking at this stage. Why? We blame that on Pluto. Pluto's saying, change is in the works. You know, how things once was is no longer going to be. And you will always find, from an astrologer perspective, you will always find that when planets dip their toes in and come back, dip their toes in, come back, that there is always massive world disruption because we're trying to get things in order. We're trying to find a bit of a sense of stability. So Pluto will come back into Aquarius and it will stay. And you will find 2025 will be all about giving the power back mainly to the ordinary people. We'll talk more about that as we move our way along, but it's always fascinating. It's always absolutely fascinating. And then we're going to get to the 17th of October, and that's our full moon. Let me go hour by hour here because I've got to move that moon back. Stay with me. So our full moon is, of course, exactly when the sun and the moon oppose each other. And this is the full moon. Now, the interesting thing with this full moon is it's part of a complete grand cross. I realize I'm doing that with a mouse, so please excuse my crooked lines. But it puts us at crossroads. It's on the 17th of October. And what's going to be part of the crossroads is mainly about the sun and Juno. Juno is the asteroid goddess about relationships. And Juno and the sun will be at the exact same degree, 24 degrees. And so there will be a question for all of us in October in the fact of who are we partnering with? As you know, I live in Canada. So that's an interesting conversation, especially with looking at the conflux that our government is in. And certainly with the US, there is a huge conflux that's happening within the government unit. And so it'll be very interesting on this full moon because that sun and Juno is shining a full light on that moon. And that moon is all about who we see, who we want, who we explicitly want to see Aries in the leadership. We also, of course, have Mars and Pluto. So this is also about the breaking down of the old. There's Pluto still in Capricorn, but it's at 29 degrees. And in astrology, that's a very karmic degree. So there's a lot of karma that is happening. We also have Venus at 29 degrees at that exact same time, which very much says if we do due diligence with our whole entire investigation, with our entire looking for clues, looking for answers, we may not choose who we originally thought we were going to choose. We may not entirely partner with who we thought was going to be the individual best to partner with. So it's interesting times. This full moon, and again, because I'm in Canada, I'm not sure around October 17th what's going on there with the US elections. Where I am right now, which I'm at the September doing this particular reading with the fall equinox. I'm doing it actually on the day of the fall equinox. It's interesting because the Canadian government is sort of teetering whether we call an election, whether we don't call an election, what do we do with an election? So I'm telling you, if they haven't called an election by the 17th of October, they may just choose to do that. They're trying to figure out if they're going to do a non-confidence vote or not. So we will all feel like we're very much at a crossroads on that full moon. But one of the things you will absolutely be discerning in your own personal life will certainly be very much connected around who am I partnering with? Who is one of my best partners to connect with, to align with, to understand with? So it's an interesting month. Pluto is done, as we said, in Capricorn, getting ready to move to Aquarius, which it will do by the ending part of the year. But it will finish off. So it will finish off a lot of its old work that has needed to be done. That takes us for October, the month of change. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to hit the bell of like if that's of interest to you. And please subscribe. It helps with the channel. Stay tuned. See you soon.